So, Johnny, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what you're doing these days.
All right. Well, I grew up on the coast. Was here, been here my whole life. Other than I did a 12-year stint up in D.C. and recovering attorney. Moved
Gotcha.
moved moved home. Practiced long distance for a little while. Moved home right before a storm, and then decided I would try something a little different and got into the conservation arena first as a volunteer, and then was the executive director for CCA for a number of years, and then moved over to the Mississippi Wildlife Federation, where I currently serve as their director of coastal policy and programs. So I work on state and federal fisheries issues and coastal conservation issues and sportsman's issues around the state. So, hunting as well as fishing, but, coastal issues are really where I have my focus.
Yeah. How long has this been around? Because is it a fairly new organization, or how is it?
No, they've been around for quite a long time. Just over 75 years.
Oh, really?
Oldest organizations in the state, and it's a unique organization. We're an affiliate organization, which means we're made up of other organizations. So we're kind of an organization that is comprised of others. We have affiliate members that are other nonprofits, which gives us a big reach. But one of the things that the organization always struggled with was they didn't have a coastal presence. It was based out of Jackson. That's how I came on board. They had tried to build a coastal presence, but it's hard to do that without actually having somebody on the coast.
Right.
And as we all know, I mean, once you go north I-10, it's all different.
All pine trees.
We're kind of in a little sketch area right here. We're
North 57. Yeah, North 57. We have to go back and get our coast card back when we leave here.
That's right.
That's good stuff. So you jumped from CCA into here, coming from the coast. Was there a saltwater aspect of it, or is that what you're bringing to Jackson?
I think I'm bringing that. They did not have so much of a fisheries focus. It
Right.
was they did have a habitat focus. We had some programs down here that had been funded, particularly after the spill.
Right.
We had a habitat stewards program that was stood up here to help train volunteers with conservation, but bringing that sportsman's advocacy piece of it was a big part of what I helped to do.
Yeah.
It also came at a time after the spill when we really realized that there was going to be a big need. We're going to have this money flowing in, and we were going to need coordination among some different NGOs to participate in that process and how that money was spent. Make sure it was spent wisely. That we got a pretty long runway. It's
Right.
not as long as people think to spend that money, but you want to make sure that we have projects that are going to change the landscape and not be sort of a bunch of what we like to call random acts of conservation.
Right.
A little something here and a little something there, but nothing that's really coordinated and building it on itself. So,
Yeah.
so that was part of the reason for the position as well.
I got you.
How do you feel that breakdown went? I know it's been a point of contention in politics, going back to that for a little bit since the money was awarded, right? Everybody's trying to get their hand in that cookie jar, right?
I think it's been a pretty good process. It's hard because the general public, it's divided up into all these buckets, and
Right.
the guy on the street, he couldn't care less what bucket of money is something gets paid for out of. He just wants to know that the resources being protected, projects are happening, and it's not just the BP funding. We've got Go Mesa funding, we have Thailand's funding, we have this new giant infrastructure bill that's coming down. It has restoration dollars in it, so trying to figure out how to have a coordinated plan for that and to make it transparent. That continues. Although I think the work's going on, we continue to advocate within the state and the legislature, DEQ, DMR, for more transparency in that process. And honestly, to talk about the projects and the work that they're doing, because they're doing good work,
Right.
and sometimes it's hard to get people to, give themselves an attaboy and pat themselves on the back and tell the story about what they're doing.
We talked to we've been trying to get DMR to come on, but there's some hoops you got to jump over to get them to be able to speak on camera. But I said the same thing to some of our elected officials. It's like, y'all do good work up there sometimes, but the messaging back to the community, to the citizen, is usually like non-existent. They only ever hear the bad stuff on the news.
That's right. That's a tough thing. Now, I'll give DMR an attaboy. For those of you who have not been on their site, you should go on there and subscribe. They have brought back a newsletter that they're doing, and I think Rick Burris was was central behind doing that. And it's a great, like a flip magazine. It's got detailed articles.
Right.
They'll push out an article here or there, but it comes out I think it comes out once a month. But it's very nicely done, and it'll have focus on, some different things that they're working on. And so they're ramping that back up. I think Rick's kind of made that his personal crusade.